In the world of gaming, everybody knows that if you play first-person shooters, you're officially one of the cool kids. Streamers and YouTubers who play FPS games have become so much more mainstream these days. Even Tyler Fortnite Ninja Blevins is being sponsored by brands like Nike and Louis Vuitton, while every other genre of gaming has been kicked to the curb. Now, admittedly, I have never been a huge FPS gamer, which probably explains why I'm such a loser, but they just never really interested me. I play a few games here and there when my friends pressure me into them, but other than that, I have never been able to channel that Sigma male energy needed to play FPS games. Recently, however, things have changed. I realized that if I ever really wanted to pop off on YouTube, I needed to put my ideals and virginity aside to dive deep into the world of FPS gaming. So while this whole time I've been posting reviews for baby games like Zelda and Hollow Knight, I threw that all aside on a quest to play every single first-person shooter game out there. So things didn't really turn out the way I expected. When I started to scroll through the thousands of FPS games on Steam, I came to a very obvious realization. If I wanted to play and complete every single one of these games, by the time I reached page 40, I would probably have to pass on the challenge to my grandkids. This is also a very expensive venture, and we all know I'm not making buco bucks on YouTube just yet. So I needed to lay some ground rules. Rule number 1, I will only be playing multiplayer FPS games. As much as I wanted to spend 20 plus hours replaying BioShock Infinite, I thought it would make more sense to play a single matchmaking round from each of these games. Rule number 2, I will only be playing a game if it's actually got a popular player base. Who knows, maybe Orc Slayer is a timeless masterclass in gaming, but I'm sure as hell not playing it. Rule number 3, I will only be playing one singular game from each popular series. I couldn't imagine having to slog through every single Call of Duty game just to realize they're all literally just the same thing. I'll basically be deciding which game to play based on how popular it is, or how cheap it is, or if I just wanted to play it in the first place. With all that in mind, I'll be ranking every single game I play so we can find the best first-person shooter game out there. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna need all the moral support I can get, and let's get started. I thought it would make sense to start this list off with an all-time classic, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or CSGO for short. I remember sitting in the computer lab back in middle school and literally everybody was playing this game, while I was over in the corner on a date with my Club Penguin girlfriend. CSGO is a pretty big deal. If you had to rank the most popular esports games of all time, CSGO would be at the top with Smash Melee and League of Legends. So I won't lie, I was expecting a lot from this game. What I didn't expect was how simple CSGO actually is. For a game that has been praised for years for how important it is for gaming history, CSGO is a pretty bare-bones experience. There are only 7 maps in the whole game, there aren't any special abilities including a sprint button, but I think its simple nature is what makes the game shine. Because there are no comeback mechanics or broken jutsus, this is by far the most balanced game I played out of all of them. The only downside to this is the learning curve. Because this was the first FPS game on my list, I majorly sucked. Out of the 4 casual diffuse matches I played, I probably got like 6 kills. But even with this sort of lackluster experience, I can still appreciate how precise the shooting is. For those reasons, I'm going to be putting CSGO in B tier because I feel like it's the perfect middle ground compared to the games coming later. Next up, I went back to my childhood and tried my hand at Halo Reach once again. I know I said I was never really into FPS games before, but Halo Reach did come at a pretty perfect time when I was a kid. I remember playing through all of these really cool custom game modes with my friends and having a blast, so I was pretty excited to jump back in with my nostalgia goggles on. And it was really fun. I feel like Halo is the perfect game for players wanting to get into the FPS genre. For one, it's actually pretty easy to dive right in as a new player because unlike CSGO, where you get one shot by a sweaty veteran player and have to wait the entire rest of the round out, you are pretty much just a bullet sponge. It takes a hell of a lot to get killed in this game, which, as a casual FPS player, I really appreciated. It also means that you spend more time actually enjoying the battles than being stuck in a respawn loading screen. By far my favorite game mode I played was called Infection, where basically a group of infected players have to kill the other team to infect them and force them onto their side. The object of the game is to last until the end of the round, or try to get everybody else infected. It really felt like a unique idea for an FPS game, and I feel like it could only work in the world of Halo. All that being said, I think I will stick this game in the A tier. Although it's a much older game, I still felt like it held up to today's standards, and I will probably keep playing it after I finish this endless video. So originally I was planning on playing Fortnite for this video until I realized it's not even a first-person game. So I decided to play the next best thing, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG for short. In concept, Battle Royale games are pretty cool. I feel like the idea of a game with 100 players and only one winner was kind of the natural progression of gaming. Gamers are selfish beings, and being able to say that you're better than 99 other players is the best thing for us to brag about. Sadly, I didn't even come close to winning a single game. But that didn't stop me from procrastinating on this video by playing 10 whole rounds. This game brought out the worst in me. Nothing is more frustrating than winning a tense battle and having some random player show up last minute to obliterate you while your back is turned. It's pretty easy to see how dated this game actually is, especially when comparing it to something like Fortnite. On the scale with all the other games I played, I don't think this one holds up as well, but I can't deny the fact that something made me want to keep trying no matter how many times I failed. So it's not at the bottom of the barrel, but I'm definitely putting it in the C tier. When scrolling through all 11 Battlefield games in this series, I came across Battlefield 1. I don't remember buying this game, but it was in my library, so I decided I'll just play it. And oh boy, am I glad I did. This game is way cooler than I thought it would be. It takes place during World War I, and it is incredibly immersive. Everything from the sound design, to the inside of the planes, to the super detailed guns made it all feel so intense and intimate. I enjoyed pretty much every gameplay style, from being a medic for my friends to being an absolute demon with a Gatling gun. Also, this was probably one of the only games on this list I actually felt like I started to get good at. I was hitting some crazy sniper shots from across the map, and for once during this long, grueling journey, I actually wasn't being useless. Until the server crashed. Then it crashed again. The servers in Battlefield 1 are barely holding on by a thread at this point. Even before I got into any match, I had to wait a whole 20 minutes to find a single open server. Sometimes I would finally find a server, and as soon as I joined, the match would be over. Now, I know this shouldn't be a deciding factor for a game on a tier list, but I became a very grumpy boy. So Battlefield 1 won't be getting an S tier, it'll be getting an A tier. Next up on my list was a game I wanted to try for a very long time. Overwatch is one of those games where you hear more about its insane fan base than the actual game itself. But behind every cringy community like Fortnite or Minecraft lies a very special experience. Overwatch is no exception to this rule. This game absolutely slaps. In Overwatch, you choose from a long list of characters that bring tons of different abilities to the table. For example, Tracer uses dual pistols and has the ability to warp back in time and evade dangerous situations. And Widowmaker wields a sniper rifle to pick off enemies from across the map. I found it extremely easy to pick up any of these characters from the start, and every single round felt like an entirely new experience with brand new obstacles. Overwatch is also a game that relies heavily on teamwork compared to some of the other FPS games I tried. You will need to decide whether you should choose a healer or a brute force character based on what your team chooses, which made each round feel much more personal. I don't have too much else to say about this game. I've been playing every day since I first gave it a try, so I really like it. Overwatch is an easy S tier for me. As a casual player, I'm very excited to continue improving as I go. The next game I wanted to play, I was kind of dreading: Call of Duty. I decided to play Black Ops 2 because my friends recommended it to me, and I also tried my best to keep an open mind. When it comes to multiplayer matchmaking, this game is pretty basic. I just felt like a lot of the best parts of this game were done so much better by some of the other games I played. Customizing your loadout is very in-depth and unique, but other than that, I couldn't find too much else to like. Maybe I was starting to feel an FPS slump, but everything just felt so surface level. I did, however, enjoy the Zombies game mode a lot. Going through wave after wave of enemies with random players was really fun, but because the enemies were bots, I don't think this mode really counts. Anyways, I'm going to be putting Black Ops 2 in C tier. It wasn't horrible, but it certainly didn't feel special either. Then we have a sort of Overwatch knockoff called Valorant. I know this game is a big deal to a lot of people, but the best way I can describe it would be a perfect mix of CSGO and Overwatch. Again, like Overwatch, you need to choose from a list of characters with different abilities, but this time they were a lot less unique from each other. I don't think it's a bad thing though, it probably makes Valorant much more balanced. It's also like CSGO because of the extremely precise shooting and very competitive player base. Valorant was one of the only games on this list that I played with friends because it's actually free, so I think that added some brownie points here and there. However, it was much harder to get into because of my skill level, so I would have to rank Valorant below Overwatch in the B tier. And now we're on to the final FPS game on the tier list. It was around this point when I really started to miss playing those baby games I'm used to, but I had to push on for one final game. To throw in a wild card, I decided to try out Phantom Forces, which, you guessed it, is a game on Roblox. I know it's a bit of a meme, but believe it or not, this game goes hard. It's obviously not on the same level as any of the other games on this list. It's incredibly buggy, and I mean, come on, it's on Roblox. But other than that, the gameplay was surprisingly smooth. Somehow the shooting felt a lot better than most of the games on this list, and the movement was shockingly clean. I have to give credit to whoever developed this game. For the tools they were given, they made something really cool. I'm still going to give it a D tier, but I have to give credit where credit is due. So here's my full multiplayer first-person shooter tier list. At the end of this journey, although I started to tire from all of these games, first-person shooters deserve a lot more than the flack they get from gaming purists. I'm glad I gave these games a try for myself, and I'll definitely be revisiting them in the future. Obviously, there are hundreds and hundreds of these games I didn't include this time around, but if you want to see me come back and add to this list, make sure to tell me about some games I should try out in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Keep on gaming to the fullest, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.